Hello, I'm Mike, this is Will, we are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
We're bringing you issue 78 of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest today, in which we got the base for the Repulsor we finished last issue. But before we get into the magazine, if you want to skip straight to the battle report, there'll be a time code in the description. Heading into the magazine now, we've got some background on the Inquisition. So this is the sort of almost like the secret police of the Imperium, who go around making sure there aren't any witches or heretics or demons within the Imperium's domain. So going over, you can see there's the three major ordos of the Inquisitors. So the Ordo Malleus deal with demons and demonic incursion. The Ordo Hereticus deals with heretics and witches. And the Ordo Xenos deals with aliens. And each one of these has a sort of a military arm almost. The Ordo Malleus of the Grey Knights, the Ordo Hereticus of the Sisters of Basil, and the Ordo Xenos of the Death Watch. We also have the background on the Officio Assassinorum, so Imperial Assassins. You can see the four major types there. So Calidus assassins, who can take the appearance of other people. Eversor assassins are basically drugged up and told to kill a target, and if they don't, they blow themselves up. Vindicar assassins are snipers and have their special sniper rifles and special ammo. And the Colexus assassins are tasked with eliminating psykers, and they disrupt psykers around them. And speaking of disrupting psykers, we have the Sisters of Silence. They're the sort of the left hand of the Emperor with the right hand of the Custodian Guard. They're called the Null Maidens. They are psychic blanks, which means that they actually disrupt the warp. They disrupt psykers. It's hard for them to use psychic powers. Again, going over their armour and equipment, they're fairly ornate looking. And here we have a showcase of miniatures to go with the factions we've just learned about. So we've got several Inquisitors, some named characters, some of the assassins, and again the Sisters of Silence. Pretty much the entire range of Sisters of Silence miniatures in those pictures. You've got Sisters with power swords, Sisters with boggans, Sisters with flamers, and the Rhino is pretty much the entire Sisters of Silence range. And here we got some background on Feculent Gnarl Moors. These are sort of trees and plant life that have been mutated by Nurgle's many plagues, and you can see there they've got horrible mouths and pustules and generally unpleasant. And now we have the Space Marines Impulsor. This is essentially the Primaris version of the Rhino, except it can fly because it's a ground vehicle. And you can see some of the variants there. Then there's the Stormraven gunships, another Space Marine flyer, and it can transport vehicles. It can actually transport a dreadnought, this one, as well as infantry. And you can see here is an example of a Grey Knights one. And now we have some more background on Macragge, the Ultramarines homeworld, and the 13th Black Crusade that's rampaging across the galaxy. And the Plague Wars, which was an invasion of Ultramar by the Death Guard. And also the Tyrannic Wars there, where the first incursion of the Tyranids into the galaxy was at Ultramar as well. Actually, there used to be, or might still be, some walls for Tyrannic War veterans that were unique to the Ultramarines. But after all that lore, we can get into our mission for this issue.
So now we'll be on to our mission for this issue, and you can see at the top, the big guns never tire. In the magazine's version of events, the Ultramarines have managed to recover their Repulsor transport, and they're now ready to launch some counterattacks, and the Death Guard have moved up armour to oppose them, so there's going to be a big vehicle engagement in no man's land near Barakius. The mission effectively actually starts on the previous page. It says here, with terrain and deployment, the players should work together to make sure the battlefield has plenty of open space for vehicles to move around, while still ensuring there's cover for infantry. And we will each have to place 2 objective markers, and these have to be more than 9 inches from the centre of any other objectives and 6 inches from the battlefield edge. It also explains here that when controlling objectives, vehicles trump other units when it comes to having the number of models within 3 inches. So if there are no vehicles, it's just number of models. But if a vehicle is nearby, then it controls it regardless of the number of enemy models. And over the page, the actual mission, Rolling Thunder. You can see deployment zones on either short edge of the battlefield. There's quite a lot of ground between the two forces. This is just a reminder here to leave plenty of room for vehicles to move around. For our armies, it just says that each player selects an army of miniatures. It doesn't specify that they have to be battle-forged armies or anything other than a maximum power rating of 60, which is the highest we've seen so far. And indeed, there's no benefit to having a battle-forged army because we have a fixed amount of command points available, 3 each. Then for deployment, we roll off, choose a deployment zone, deploy our units alternately, and whoever finishes first can choose to go first or second. And for the victory conditions, there are 3 victory points for each vehicle unit destroyed. There's also 3 victory points for each objective marker, and there's also First Blood and Slay the Warlord, and it lasts for 5 battle rounds. But of course, we have the datasheet for the Repulsor transport. So having a look at the top, you can see its profile. It has a couple of variable characteristics, but its strength and toughness 8 and 16 wounds, so it's going to be quite hard to get rid of. As it takes damage, it loses movement, ballistic skill, and attacks, as you can see on the right-hand side. It has many guns, and I'm not going to go over each of these in detail because there's a lot here, but some of them we've seen before, such as the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon. Probably the main ones to note, though, are the las cannon and twin las cannons, which are heavy anti-tank weapons, effectively, and we'll see the rest during the game. But it also has a large list of options because you can build the kit in many different ways or various different weapons onto the model. Again, I won't go through all of that, we'll just see the guns it does have on the model as they come into play. It has a few special rules as well. Hover tank, so you measure it to and from its hull, even though it has a base, mainly because the base is under the model most of the time. The repulsor field is quite good. If you try and charge it, you have to subtract 2 from a charge roll, so it makes it much harder to attack in melee. Power of the machine spirit means it doesn't suffer penalty for hit rolls for moving and firing of heavy weapons, so it makes it more mobile. If it has auto launchers, then these are like the smoke launchers on the Rhino, except you can use them as many times as you like rather than just once, and it might explode and it can do up to d6 mortal wounds if it does. But that's not all, it's also a transport. It can transport up to 12 Primaris infantry models, but each Mark 10 Gravis model, that would be the captain and the aggressors in this case, takes up space for 2 other models. And it can't transport jump pack models, so you can't put the Inceptors inside it. But obviously all of that comes with a cost, namely 16 power, so it does take up quite a large chunk of a Space Marine army. And you'll notice its battlefield role is dedicated transport, like the Rhino. Well, that's it for our rules and for the Repulsor, so we'll have a look at the armies and head straight into our game. So here is our 60 power Space Marine army. Obviously in the centre we have the Repulsor tank, and then we have 2 other vehicles, the vehicles the Space Marines have, the Redemptor Dreadnought and the Landspeeder. We also have the Lieutenant with the Autobolt rifle and the Librarian, a squad of 5 Intercessors and the attack bike with the Multi-Melter for the extra anti-tank firepower, and then the Hellblasters, because what Space Marine army would be without them?
Yeah, so my Warlord will be the Lieutenant, and I'm going to give him the Storm of Fire trait. For the Librarian, I'm going to give him the Armour Indomitus relics, that gives him a 2+ armour save, and once per game he can have a 3+ invulnerable save until the end of the turn. And his Psychic powers will be Might of Heroes and Psychic Scourge. Hopefully try and pick off some Plague Marines and do mortal wounds to vehicles. And for the Landspeeder, it's going to have the anti-tank loadout, so missiles and multi-melter. And the Repulsor has the Las Talon, the Twin-Link Las Cannons, the 2 Crackstorm Grenade Launchers, 2 Storm Bolters, the Icarus Rocket Pod, and I decided to swap the Auto Launchers for the Fragstorm Grenade Launchers, because I don't think it's going to be using them very much. It's going to spend more of its time shooting, and it has an Onslaught Gatling Cannon in the pencil mount, and it has the extra Iron Hail Heavy Stubber as well.
So yeah, as I said, a lot of guns, but we'll see them all in action as we get playing. And here we have our 60 power of Death Guard, again bringing all the vehicles that we have with the collection. We've got from left to right the Myphitic Blight Hauler, the Plagueburst Crawler, the Chaos Rhino, and the Fated Bloat Drone. And the Plagueburst Crawler is outfitted with the Entropy Cannons and the Heavy Slugger. Entropy Cannons obviously for anti-tank work, and Heavy Slugger because it has a longer range than the other option. Also in the army, I've taken the opportunity not to bring in one of the really expensive HQ choices that I have to bring most of the time. So the 2 characters are both elites. We've got the Foul Blight Spawn and the Biologos Putrefier. Then we've got a unit of 8 Plague Marines there to go in the Rhino with the 2 characters. And we have the 10 Cultists, holding objectives, and a unit of 5 Plague Marines with 2 Blight Launchers. And then my Warlord will be the Biologos Putrefier. He will have the Arch Contaminator Warlord trait, which allows you to reroll all wounds with plague weapons nearby. He will also have the relic for the army, which will be the Plague Bringer, which replaces his Plague Knife. And it's the AP minus 2d3 damage, does mortal wound on 6s to wound. And here is our battlefield for this mission. We followed the advice and tried to leave room for vehicles to come through, so we've clumped up certain bits of terrain a bit more than we would normally. So starting on the left, there's not actually very much on this board. There's some pipes up there, a big pile of barrels, and then some area cover ruins down here. Then the Hemotrep reactor is on the edge, border with the Mechanicus mat. There's some ruins up there, plasma regulator, cranes. And down here, a Hemotrep reactor, regulator, another crane, some more area cover. And finally on the right hand side, Hemotrep reactor on the city board. Nothing in the top right corner at all. Pile of armoured containers and some final ruins down there. And then we also placed our objectives. So on the right hand edge there's one here by this big pile of boxes, and one over there by the Hemotrep reactor, and there's one just onto the Mechanicus board here by the Hemotrep reactor, and finally one over there by the Alchemite stack. So we rolled off to pick our deployment zones. I won the roll and picked the opposite end to this, but we're going to show you the Space Marine deployment because they finished deploying first. So on the left there's the attack bike, then the 5-man squad of intercessors, the Dreadnought, the Repulsor, in which are the Hellblasters, the Librarian and the Lieutenant, and it has to be deployed sideways because it's actually too long to fit in the 6-inch deployment zone, and then finally the Landspeeder on the right. Now I picked the other end of the board, obviously. So we've got the 5-man unit Plague Marine squad on the left, then the Blight Hauler, the Chaos Spawn, the Rhino, in which is the big unit of Plague Marines, and the Barlog's Putrefier and the Foul Blight Spawn. So the unit cultists, Plague Burst Crawler, and the Bloat Drone on the far right. As I said, Space Marines finished deploying first, so therefore Michael gets to choose whether to go first or second.
I think I'll go first.
So we've got 3 command points each, as shown there, and we'll be on to Space Marines turn 1.
So our movement phase, we're just going to move up to try and stay out of range of the entropy cannons. The bikes just moved up normally. The intercessors advanced, we only got 1 inch, but that's about as far as I wanted them to go. The Dreadnought moved up normally. The Repulsor has moved up to get its las cannons in range of the Rhino and the Plague Burst Crawler. But the 2 characters got out beforehand, so that the Lieutenant can apply his aura to the Landspeeder and the Repulsor, and the Librarian can use psychic powers. And the Landspeeder's moved up to also get its missile launchers in range of the Rhino, which you can just about see through a tiny gap. So my psychic phase, the Librarian's going to try and cast Might of Heroes on the Repulsor, needing a 6. Getting it with a 10.
Can't stop that.
Yeah, and that will be all for my psychic powers because psychic excursions aren't in range. I'll start the shooting phase with the land speeder. It's going to put 2 crack missiles into the Rhino. 2 shots, hitting on 4s because we moved. And that's 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s because of the lieutenant. That's 2 wounds.
So 5 plus armour save. Oh, no, double 2.
So 2d6 damage. 4. I'll spend a command point to re-roll one of those, try and do some more damage. 6, so that's good. So it's 8 damage.
So the Rhino's down to 2 after the first shot of the game.
And then the Repulsor will put its twin las cannons into the Rhino. Again, 2 shots hitting on 3s, because no penalty for moving and shooting. So 2 hits, wounding on 3s, because strength 9, re-rolling 1s, because Lieutenant. Oh, re-roll that 1 into a wound.
This is AP -3, so it's a 6 plus save. No, there's no point trying to re-roll for 6.
D6 damage, 3, that's enough to destroy it.
It is. So that is, well, let's see if it blows up first on a 6. No, it does not. So we have to see if anybody's injured, so I roll the dice for every model, and then on 1s people might die, will die. That's 2 1s, so I'm going to, no, 3 1s, so I'm going to lose 3 Plague Marines. So everyone's come out the front just to try and get a bit of extra movement, and then the Rhino is removed. And then that is 4 victory points for the Space Marines, 1 for First Blood and 3 for destroying a vehicle. But there's no more shooting in range, but in the morale phase the Plague Marines will have to take a morale test because they lost 3 models. So on 6 another one will run away. Of course it's a 6. So yet another one gone. But that will be the end of Space Marines turn 1, on to Death Guard turn 1. So to start my move, the Blight Hauler and the Plague Burst Crawler are both going to move up normally so they can shoot some of their guns. And everything else is going to advance. The Plague Marines on the far edge with the Blight Launchers, getting 5. The Chaos Spawn, an extra 2. The Plague Marines who came out the Rhino, 3. Foul Blight Spawn, 6. The Warlord, the Barlog's Putrefier, 6. And Cultists, 3. And the Bloat Drone, 4. As a result of the movement, so as you can see the Bloat Drone has moved up behind the Alchemite stack for it to hide, and then everybody else has just advanced up to get pretty much level, but none of them are going to be in range yet. The only shooting I have, we'll start with the Blight Hauler. It will fire a crack missile at the Landspeeder through the hole that the Landspeeder fired at the Rhino, hitting on a 4. Nope. And then the Plague Burst Crawler is also going to shoot at the Landspeeder. It doesn't need to be able to see it with the Plague Burst mortar. D6 shots, 3. Hitting on 5s because it moved. 1 hit. Wounds on a 3. But re-rolling thanks to the Warlord trait on the Warlord. That's a 3, so that is a wound.
5 plus armour save because it's only AP -2. Nope. I'll take the damage.
D3. 3. Oh, that's not too bad.
Down to 3 wounds.
But that's it. Nothing else is in range to shoot. So we'll be on to Space Marines turn 2.
Right, so again we're just going to move up a little bit. First things first, the Hellblasters got out of the Repulsor. That's as far as they can move, and they're just going to be in range of some of the Plague Marines. And then the Repulsor moved up behind them. The Lieutenant and the Librarian have moved up into the boxes, and the Lieutenant's got his aura in range of the Hellblasters. The Landspeeder and the Dreadnought aren't going to move. The Landspeeder so it doesn't get the penalty for shooting. And the Dreadnought, because the Repulsor is in the way. The Intercessors are just going to huddle behind the reactor for now. And the attack bite's just going to move up a little bit. It would have been possible to get the Bloat Drone into range, but then there's always the possibility it would roll a good advance roll and roast it. So I'm not going to take that risk for now. So we'll be on to the psychic phase. Like last turn, the librarian's going to cast Might of Heroes on the Repulsor, getting it with an 8. It's going to start shooting with the Hellblasters. So the 4 Hellblasters nearest the southern end of the board are going to fire at this Plague Marine squad, and they will overcharge. And then the other guy isn't quite in range of them, so he'll put a single shot into the cultists. Yeah, so we've got the overcharge shots at the Plague Marines, do them one at a time, and they're rerolling ones because of the ammo boxes. So Sarge, reroll that one, Sarge, hits, another Hellblaster, misses, and another one, hits. And the last one, rerolls that one, and hits, so that's 3 hits. Wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s because of the Lieutenant, it's 2 wounds.
I do get an armour save because I'm near the Blight Hauler, so I get +1 to my save, so 6+. Oh, double 5. 2 damage each, so discussing resilient, that's 1 dead, and another dead. They will take away the bolt gun and the Icon of Despair.
And then finally the single shot into the cultists, misses. The land speeder will fire 2 crack missiles at the Blight Hauler, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, rolling 1s, nope. The Repulsor is the only other thing in range, so it will put the twin las cannons into the Blight Hauler, and I'll fire the Iron Hell Heavy Stubber at the 2 remaining Plague Marines. Do the las cannons, we've got 2 shots hitting on 3s, rolling 1s because of the boxes, it's 2 hits, wounding on 3s, rolling 1s because of the Lieutenant. I will command point that 2.
Okay, down to 1 command point left.
Oh, it's only 1 wound.
I get a 5+ invulnerable save. Nope.
D6 damage, 5.
Disgustingly resilient for those. I've made 2, so it takes 3 wounds down to 5.
And the Iron Hell Heavy Stubber into the Plague Marines, 3 shots hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. Roll that 1. They all hit, roll all of them again. Wounding on 5s, rolling 1s. Whoa! So
okay.
That's 2 at AP -1 and 1 at AP -2.
Thanks for Storm of Fire. Yeah, it's strength 4, AP -1, incidentally. Yeah. 2 4+ saves. 2 3+ saves, I should say, because I've got cover. And then 1 4+ save, so maybe 1 and third one. Right, so it's just 1 wound going through. Disgustingly resilient. Nope. So that will take out the plasma gun. That's all the shooting again, though. But this champion has to take another morale test. On the 6, he will run away. You'd be interested to know in the comments if you can find a morale test in this series where I haven't rolled a 6. So the champion decides he's had enough. Well, you know, to be fair, all his friends have got blown away. No victory points for him because there's only victory points for destroying vehicles in this mission. But we will be on to Death Guard turn 2. Well, I'm obviously going to need to catch up on some points quite quickly, so we need to try and get as many guns into range as possible. To that end, I think everything's going to advance except the Plague Burst Crawler and the Blight Hauler. So the 2 vehicles get to there. The Blight Hauler has just about got the multi-melter in range of the Repulsor, and the Plague Burst Crawler is now within 2 inches of those ammo boxes. And we'll just move the objective slightly because it's basically sitting on top of it. And I'll roll the advance for everything else. So starting with the remaining Plague Marines with the Blight Launchers. Oh, extra 6 inches. The Chaos Spawn, extra 1. The Foul Blight Spawn, 1. The Pyrolog's Putrefire, 5. Cultists, extra 5. And the Bloat Drone, an extra 1 inch. And here are the final positions. So the Plague Marines and the Spawn are over here behind the Hemotrope Reactor. The Blight Launchers can see the Hellblasters and they're in range. Then we've got the Foul Blight Spawn, the Pyrolog's Putrefire, and the Cultists moving up the centre. Finally, the Bloat Drone over there, heading towards the Space Marine lines. So we'll be on to the shooting phase. We're going to do the Plague Burst Crawler, and I'm going to spend a command point to play Blasphemous Machines on it, so it ignores the penalty from moving and firing with heavy weapons. And it's going to shoot the mortar and the entropy cannons into the Repulsor, and the heavy slugger will go into the Hellblasters. And starting with the 2 entropy cannons, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. That's 1 hit. But wounding on a 5 because it's strength 8 and the Repulsor's currently toughness 9, thanks to Might of Heroes. And that's a 4. No, it's not worth a reroll at this point. And we'll do the Plague Burst Mortar, d6 shots, 3, I'll take that. Hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, that's 1. That's 2 hits. And these are also winning on 5s, but it is a Plague Weapon and my Warlord is close by, so it'll be re-rolling. So that's, we'll be able to re-roll that one anyway. No, that's 1 wound at AP -2.
So that's a 5+ save, which I made.
And then the Heavy Slugger at the Hellblasters, 4 shots hitting on 4s. Re-rolling that 1. Nope. Well, we'll do the Blight Hauler next. We're going to put the Crack Missile and the Multi-Melter into the Repulsor as well. Multi-Melter hitting on 4, re-rolling 1s, that's a 2. Crack Missile, same, that's a hit. Comes on a 5. Nope. And last up, we've got the 2 Blight Launchers from the Plague Marines. They advance, but they ignore that because they're Death Guard. And they're going to shoot the Hellblasters. The Repulsor is in range, but the Hellblasters are much easier to kill, and Still have a lot of firepower. 4 shots, hitting on 3s, rolling 1s, because they are by an ammo box, and 2 1s. Rolling. That's 3 hits. Wounding on 3s, but re-rolling everything thanks to the Warlord. Re-rolling. Well, there's 3 wounds at least.
3 5+ saves. Well, I made 2.
D3 damage. 3, so I do take out a Hellblaster.
Take out Chomley on the end.
Well, and that's the end of my turn 2. 1 dead Hellblaster achieved. Not looking too good for the Death Guard. As we go into Space Marines turn 3.
So my movement phase, the land speed is going to stay where it is because it can just about see the Blight Hauler. The Hellblasters have moved, so they're out of the way of the road, while the Repulsor and the Dreadnought have both moved up into the middle, and so the Repulsor's got all of its weapons in range of something now. The Librarian and the Lieutenant have shifted around. The Librarian, so he might be able to use some psychic powers next turn, and the Lieutenant to keep everyone within his aura. And these Intercessors have moved around a bit, just so that they can test that objective as well, and a few of them can shoot at something, and the attack bike is going to stay where it is. In my psychic phase, it's going to be much the same as last time. We're going to try and cast Might of Heroes on the Repulsor, needing a 6, getting it with a 7. So I'm going to start my shooting phase off with the land speeder. It's going to put 2 crack missiles into the Blight Hauler. We've got 2 shots, hitting on 3s because we didn't move. That's 2 hits. Wounding on 3s because it's strength 8. That's 2 wounds.
2 5+ saves. Made 1 failed 1. Yeah, okay, take that.
D6 damage. 6.
6 disgustingly resilience. Made 1 failed 5, so it's going to go down. We only have 5 wounds left. So it goes down, and that's another 3 victory points for the Space Marines.
So we're up to 7. Anyway, next the attack bike is going to shoot at the blow drone because it's the only thing in range. It's going to put all of its guns into it. So we have 2 bolt gun shots hitting on 3s. Well, at least I'm going to roll 1s, at least not for the melter gun. And 1 melter gun shot hitting on 3. Yeah, that missed as well. So it's time to do the Repulsor. So we'll put the Crackstorm grenade launchers, the twin las cannons, the las talon and the Icarus rocket pod into the blow drone. 2 storm bolters and the 2 fragstorm grenade launchers into the cultists. And the Gatling cannon into those plague marines. Oh, and I'll put the heavy stubber into them as well. So I'll start with the las talon and the twin las cannons. I'll roll them all together because they're the same profile other than range. So 4 shots, hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. They all hit. Wounding on 3s, rolling 1s because of the Lieutenant. They all wound.
5+ invulnerable save. Regardless, made 1 of them. I'm going to use a command point at this point. Trying to decide, but I'm going to use 1 to reroll 1 of these. I'm going to get another invulnerable save. Yes, I did. So that's only 2 going through. It could make a difference.
2d6 damage. 7.
7 disgustingly resilient rolls. Made 3, so it only takes 4 damage. Down to 6.
So I'll do the rocket pod next. It has d3 shots. 1. Hits on a 2 because it gets +1 to hit against flying units. And it hit. Wounds on a 4 because it's strength 7. And rerolling 1s. It wounded. AP -1.
So 4+. Yes.
2 Crackstorm grenades, hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. They hit. Wounding on 5s, rolling 1s. Oh, that was a 6 outside the box. It's a 5 in the box.
So that's again -1 on 4+. No, didn't.
D3 damage. 3.
Disgustingly resilient. Oh, only 1 more. Down to 5.
So I'll do the shots of the cultists now, and I'll do the grenade launchers and the bolt gun. The storm bolters have the same profile, so I'll roll for the number of shots with the grenade launchers. 7. So we've got 11 total shots, hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. And 1s, rerolled into hits. It's 10 hits. So it's 4, so wounding on 3s, rolling 1s because of the Lieutenant. 1 rerolled into a 6, so that's 2 wounds at AP -1, so that's 2 dead cultists. And then 6+ armour saves.
Which I failed all of, so that's 8 cultists dead in total. That leaves 2 cultists left. I've taken the champion away because they can't actually pass the morale test they're going to have to take, so it's not going to matter.
So now it's the Onslaught Gatling Cannon into the Plague Marines. We've got 6 shots hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. 4 hits. Wounding on 4s, rolling 1s because it's 5. Away and that rerolls into a wound.
So the one Plague Marine at the back is not in cover, so I'll roll his save first at AP -1, and then if he dies, then the next save will be with the benefit of cover. So the first save was a 4+, that's failed, disgustingly resilient. No, made it, so he's still alive. And same again, 4+, no, disgustingly resilient. No, so the bolt gun man at the back dies.
And then we've got the heavy stubber, 3 shots hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. 2 goes away. Wounding on 5s, rolling 1s, gets only strength 4. So next I'm going to do the Dreadnought. Put the heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon into the Plague Marines. The 2 Fragstorm grenade launchers into the bloke drone because it's the only thing in range. So the Gatling Cannon has 12 shots hitting on 4s because it moved. Ammo boxes nearby. 6 hits, wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s, because we are next to the lieutenant. So 1 rerolls into a nothing, so it's 2 wounds.
And the remaining 2 are in cover, so there will be a 3+ save. That's a 2. Disgustingly resilient. Nope. That means we will lose this other bolt gun over here.
And 2d6 frag grenades at the bloke drone. 8. Each shot's hitting on 3s. 7 hits. Usually on 5s, you're on 1s. That's 3 wounds, 1 AP minus 1.
So 2 3+ saves, failed 1. 4+ save, also failed. 2 disgusting resilient saves. Oh, down to 2 damage, down to 3.
I'll do the intercessors next. 2 of them can see the bloke drone, so they'll shoot at that. And the other one who can actually see anything will shoot at the cultist, because it's the only thing he can see. So I'll do him first. He hits. Wounds on 3. Oh, he is within 6, so rerolling that 1. That's a dead cultist.
Yep.
2 shots at the bloke drone. Both hit. 5s, rolling 1s. Roll that 1. Ooh. 1 hit at AP 1s, 2.
So 5+. No. Disgustingly resilient. Oh, it's down to 2. Down to 2, and another cultist.
I'll do the lieutenant next. He can just about see that. It's a bit vague by the letter of the rules. He can see the bloke drone's cabling underneath the repulsor, so and William's going to let me do it. So 2 shots hitting on 3s. That's 1 hit. Wounds on a 5, rolling 1s. New. So I'll do the Hellblasters next, last, and we're going to put all of our shots into the Plague Marines. That seems like the sensible option. We'll do them individually, starting with the ones nearest the camera.
You are overcharging.
I am overcharging, yes. 1 shot, Sergeant, hitting on 3s, rolling 1s, misses. Hellblaster, hits. Number 2, hits. Number 3, hits. Winning on 3s, rolling 1s. Ooh, they're going to live.
You do get save, because they're in cover, so 2 6+ saves. Oh, double 6. But that does mean on a roll of 1 they take mortal wounds, because it's a dangerous cover. No, they're fine.
Blimey.
Well, there's nothing left to shoot, but at the end of the Space Marine turn, that cultist has to take a morale test. Not 9 friends, so he can't possibly pass his test, so he goes away. Plague Marine's alright, so he lost 2 models. And we'll be on to Death Guard turn 3. The Plague Marines have moved over here, around the ammo boxes, so they can all see things to shoot at. And the Plague Bear's Crawler will stay where it is. Everything else will advance. So we'll start with the Spawn, rolling for that, an extra 5 inches. Varlog's Putrefier, extra 1. Foulblight Spawn, an extra 2, and Bloke Drone, an extra 3. That's then moved up. The Bloke Drone is ever so slightly too far away to shoot the Hellblasters, don't quite get in range. So onto the shooting phase. We'll start with the Plague Bear's Crawler again. It's going to put its entropy cannons on the mortar into the repulsor, and the heavy slugger into the Hellblasters again. Entropy cannons hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Oh, 3 and a 2. I'm going to use my last command point to reroll on one of those, because we really need to hit something at this point. Nope, missed. Then the mortar, d6 shots, 5. Hitting 4s, rerolling 1s. 1. That's 4 hits.
Gonna hurt.
Still winning on 5s though, because it's toughness 9. That's 2 wounds at 8 minus 2.
5 plus armor saves. No, I'll take the damage.
2d3 damage for 4.
It's down to 12.
And then heavy slugger hitting on 4s. Well, they all hit. Winning on 3s because it's strength 5. That's 1. No, so that's 2 wounds against the Hellblasters.
4 plus armor saves. Make one third one. Hellblaster takes a wound. Put it on that guy.
We'll do the Bloke Drone next. It will shoot the Repulsor because the only things in range are the Repulsor and the Dreadnought. 2d6 automatic hits. 8. But it's down to strength 4, so these are winning on 6s, re-rolling because of the Warlord trait. Well, that's 3.
3.
And the re-roll, no more. So 3 wounds at AP minus 1.
3 4 pluses. Made 2. Down to 11 wounds.
And finally the Plague Marines, they will shoot everything at the Repulsor as well. Do the 4 Blight Launchers hitting on 3s. 3 2s.
Yeah.
Winning on 5s. Nope. And Plasma Gun supercharged, hitting on 3 re-rolling 1s. It did. Still wins on a 5 because of that toughness 9. No, nothing. And that's it for my turn because everything advanced, so no charging. So we're on to Space Marines turn 4.
In my turn, the only movement is the Librarian is going to shift over so that he's closer to the Bloke Drone, not the Spawn, and the Intercessors are going to move around so that they can all see something to shoot at. And in the Psychic phase, we'll start with Smite from the Librarian, needing a 5, getting a 6.
Can't stop it.
D3 mortal wounds, 3.
Disgusting resilient. Oh, made 1. Well, sorry, failed 1, so it's down to 1.
Down to 1. And then we'll cast Mighty Furies on the Repulsor again, just in case, needing a 6, getting it with an 8. Right, so it's, the order's really important here. So the lieutenant's going to go first. He's going to shoot the bloke drone because it's the only target he can see, probably. And he's got 2 shots in on 3s. 1 hit. Wounds on 5, run 1s. Alright, wounds at AP -1.
With a 6, 4+. Made it.
We'll do the attack bite next. We're going to put all of our guns into the bloke drone. 2 bolt guns hitting on 3s. They hit. Wounding on 5s. There's 1 wound.
3+ armour save. That's a 1.
Come
Disgusting,
on.
isn't it? Can you take it out of the box? Yes, you can. Does it blow up on a 4+? It does, of course. The white drone dies.
3 more victory points for the Space Marines, so we're up to 10.
The spawn takes more wound, down to 3. Pulse is down to 10. And Varlog's Putrefier is in range, but he has disgustingly resilient. Which he failed, so he takes wound, he's also down to 3.
So we'll do the intercessors next. They can all shoot the spawn. 5 shots hitting on 3s. 4 hits. Wounding on 5s, you're only 1s. 2 wounds.
One of them at AP -2, which gives it no save.
So there's 1 wound and then another 6+ armor save.
No, sorry, down to 1.
So we'll do the land speeder next. You can just about see the spawn. So we will shoot everything into it because I need it out of the way so I can target characters. The multi-modder, 1 shot hitting on 3. Nope. Missile launchers, double whiff. We'll reroll 1 because I actually need the spawn to die. That is a hit. Wounding on 3, rolling 1s. That's a AP -3.
It's got 1 wound left, so it dies.
So we'll do the Dreadnought next. It's going to put its heavy anti Gatling cannon and the frag storms into the biologist Putrefier. We'll do the Gatling cannon first. 12 shots hitting on 3s. 7 hits. Wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s. Roll that 1. 3 wounds, AP -1, and 1 wound at AP -2.
3 4+ saves. Failed 2. Do the 5+ as well. No, so 3 disgusting resilience. Failed all 3. So he goes down, and that's a victory point for Slay the Warlord as well.
He does explode, but it doesn't hurt Nurgle units.
Yeah, so the Fireblight spawn is in range of his explosion, but it doesn't hurt Nurgle stuff.
And we're up to 11 victory points. We're going to do the Repulsor. We're going to put the Las Cannons into the Plague Burst Crawler, and everything else into the Fireblight spawn because the Las Cannon isn't quite in range. Should have moved up a little bit. We'll start with the Las Cannons, yeah, and get the Crawler out of the way. 2 shots hitting on 3s that both hit. Wounding on 3s, rolling 1s. 2 wounds.
5+ vulnerable save. Made 1, failed 1.
D6 damage. 5.
Disgustingly resilient. Failed all. So it takes 5. It's down to 7 wounds remaining.
And then we got to the Las Talon at the Fireblight spawn. Hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, rolling 1s. 1 wound.
This is AP -3. 6+. Nope.
D6 damage. 3.
Resilient. Oh, he is. So it takes 1 wound.
And a 3. I'll do the 2 Crack Storm grenades. Hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. 1 hit. Wound on 3. It does.
AP -1. So that's a failed save.
D3 damage. 1.
It's another wound. Down to 2.
And I'll do the Rocket Pod. It has D3 shots. 2. Hitting on 4s because he's not a flyer. I'll reroll that 1 into a hit. Wound on 3, rerolling 1s, wounds, AP -1.
4+. No.
1 damage.
Disgusting resilient. Oh, he's made that one.
Onslaught Gatling Cannon, 6 shots hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. It's 4 hits. Wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s. 1 wound at AP -1 and 2 at AP -2.
We'll do the 5+s because I've got 2 dice in my hand. Failed both, and a 4+. Made that. 2 more disgusting resilient. Oh, 1 of the 4. He dies as well. Yeah, he dies as well.
And it's just the Hellblasters left, and we're going to shoot at the Plague Marines. Sarge hits. Hellblaster hits. Number 2 rerolls that 1 into a hit, and Wounded Man hits. 4 hits. Wounding on 3s, roll 1s. They all wound. 1's at AP -5, so you don't get cover.
No, but then the other 3 do. 6+, because the ammo boxes provide cover, and I'm behind them. No.
Oh.
2 damage each, and 1 dead. 2 dead. 3 dead. And the last one doesn't matter. That's the Plague Marines killed as well. That's them as well. Died as well. That's it for Space Marine shooting. Would go on to Death Guard turn 4, but I'm going to concede at this point because I have a damaged Plague Burst Crawl left. The Space Marines are on 11 victory points. I can hold a maximum of 1 objective. Some of his vehicles are damaged, but there's no way I'm going to take all of them out. And the Space Marines are easily going to hold 2 objectives over here, so that's another 6 victory points. So, for the first time in a while, it's going to be a Space Marine victory, many victory points to 3, probably. So, we will recap all of that for you now. So that was the mission from issue 78 of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. How do you think that one went?
I mean, I don't really see how it could have gone better. I only lost one model.
Yeah, it went a bit different to quite a lot of the other recent games, didn't it?
The Repulsor's really good. We've played games where we've been on the short edges, and I think those tend to favour me because my slightly more range than you.
Yes.
And the Repulsor really amplifies that with the las cannons. I think we actually see that the Death Guard army with the magazine is also lacking anti-tank firepower. It just hasn't really been a problem because I haven't really taken the Dreadnought very much. I mean, I think in the battle your entropy cannons, I'm sure they rolled poorly.
I didn't roll too well, but the anti-tank firepower I have is on things that only hit on 4s mostly, and actually that did show in this game that when I was against something against which I really needed to focus my fire and do some damage, actually that is a bit of a liability. I completely agree. It hasn't been that much of a problem in this collection simply because you haven't had anything that I've really been scared of in the way that the Repulsor is.
And it was quite nice to not have to take a battle-forged army. Finally don't have to take sniper scouts all the time.
Yeah, although yours technically was. You had a patrol detachment, whereas I took the opportunity to not worry about that kind of thing and not take an expensive Lord of Contagion and have to take a battalion detachment. If I had been able to take a battalion detachment, I probably would have done. I would have just filled it out with some cheap Poxwalkers, just because the Death Guard stratagems are quite good and being able to actually use lots of them. Having said that, though, I should have dropped the big 8-man unit Plague Marines was a bit of an indulgence. The point of that was I was trying to put them in a Rhino, send them forward and use the Biologos Putrefier in combination with the Blight Bombardment stratagem so they could all throw one of his special grenades. And with Veterans of the Long War, it can do a ton of damage to a single target. But that never happened because you blew up my Rhino before it even had a chance to move.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something like... I mean, if we were targeting the Repulsor...
Winning on 5s with veterans because they're only strength 4, but re-rolling everything, and those 5s are also doing additional mortal wounds, and it's 2 damage for anything that you fail saving against as well. But in hindsight, I should have just dropped those 3 extra bolt guns and brought the Malignant Plaguecaster instead, because even those 3 bolt guns puts them up into the next tier of power costs, which is 6 power, and that's what Plaguecaster costs. And Miasma Pestilence could have been really useful in this. You mean roll quite well for your shooting, but even just a couple of shots not going through might have Foul Blightspawn likewise. We've seen what he can do to take the Dreadnought, but he was spent the whole game running and then died. Killing the Rhino was a massive moment, actually, from a tactical point of view as well.
And the other thing is that my units are kind of small enough that I was able to cram them all into the Repulsor and guarantee I could go first. I did think about taking the regular bikes along with the attack bike, but then after remembering that there are objectives, I thought I'd be sensible and take the Intercessors. Probably wouldn't have made a difference in hindsight.
The Intercessors didn't really do very much in hindsight.
Wounds.
Yeah. The objectives as well were sort of pointless. I mean, they did determine that I couldn't possibly win, so I might as well concede. But on the other hand, had we gone on to the end of the game, you probably would have just killed the Plague Burst Crawler with all your firepower and everything. It might have been able to take out the Land Speeder or the Repulsor, but also on the subject of taking vehicles, you have 3 in the collection, I have 4. We went for all the vehicles for the collection because this mission was all about vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, it fit the theme. I mean, technically, you don't have to take any.
No, but by taking 4, I actually granted you more victory points available because it's 3 per vehicle. So that was obviously I was at a disadvantage. And we weren't very adventurous in our objective placement. We could have put them a bit further into the middle to try and encourage people to get in further into the battlefield. But again, I don't think it would have made a difference. I think whatever I sent out into the middle of the battlefield would have been blown away, and you could have just taken the objectives.
I might have just moved up a bit more.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you had a Dreadnought who could easily have advanced out and been a threat. You had a Land Speeder and an Attack Bike, which are both really fast, and you could have just jumped some infantry into the Repulsor and driven it up onto something. So although you did stand still and shoot, you had the capability to actually assault.
Had some mobility.
So perhaps for the first time after 78 issues, we had a well-rounded Space Marine army.
Yeah, at some point you said that the Repulsor sort of solved all the problems I've been complaining about. It's a reasonably fast vehicle, it's very tough, it has good anti-tank firepower, and it's a transport, which I haven't had up to this point.
Yeah, those are all things we've identified previously as things the Space Marine Army with the magazines has struggled with.
So I'll get all the bad stuff about it out of the way first. It costs 16 power, so it's more than a quarter of my army. So you kind of have to factor into it. It's not like the Rhino where you can just drive it off and, it died. Oh well, that died. That was probably like half of my firepower. It is toughness 8, so it's hard to wound, but only a 3+, and invulnerable save. So if the entropy cannons had hit, that would have hurt. I guess it's huge, so it's going to get into the way of things. Like it got in the way of the Dreadnought. Probably didn't manoeuvre it too well early on, but it does fulfill that a lot of niches. So I can put the aggressors in it with a chaplain and a captain, and there's your melee hit squad that isn't going to get blown away as they run across the battlefield. They can fly, so you can just drive away. I mean, say it's toughness 8, and if you
Yeah.
put Might of Heroes on it, it goes up to toughness 9, which means that you're wounding it on 5.
Yeah, that was a big problem in this game. And yes, you can use Might of Heroes on a vehicle. It doesn't say anything about unit types, just as a Space Marine unit. Yeah, it ignores the penalty for moving and shooting with heavy weapons, which is another thing we've been complaining about. The Space Marine anti-tank firepower, like the land speeder, you can either move it or shoot at full effectiveness, but not both, really.
And the attack bike.
So it fixes that problem as well.
But just the sheer amount of firepower the Repulsor has, it's going to be good against hordes. I mean, even with the twin las cannons and the las talon, it's probably still going to be good against hordes because it just shoots so many shots.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of occasions where you were firing the las cannons and the las talon at some vehicle or target, and then everything else was going on something, and just the sheer volume of firepower can take out.
Just shoot at things as they get close, and the volume of fire will whittle down Death Guard. Now, another thing is I didn't take the auto launchers. The auto launchers are interesting. They're like smoke launchers, but you can use them more than once. But this thing has so many guns that I think because it uses so much of my firepower, that I might as well take the frag grenade launchers and have a bit more.
Well, it's such a big investment in points or power that if it's not shooting, you're sort of wasting its potential.
I imagine there are cases where you might use it, where if it had some kind of debuff where it was -1 to hit and it was only hitting on 6s, you might use the auto launchers, or if you're transporting a really valuable unit. But I imagine with this magazine, it's probably just going to have the frag grenade launchers on it all the time. I mean, if I did use them, probably just shoot at something else. Also, another thing is that with the new codex, the new codex, the one that's been out for months now, the rocket pod actually does 2 damage rather than 1, so it's a little bit better.
And it also has that nifty rule where if I try and charge it, obviously I can't hold it up anyway because it flies, but if I try and charge it, I have to subtract 2 from my charge roll.
And you have to face all of its Overwatch.
Yeah, you did comment at one point that one thing you didn't have to face in this game was me dropping a Lord of Contagion behind your lines and charging everything. But I don't think I'd want to charge the Repulsor with him anyway because he's starting 9 inches away. It's going to be an 11-inch charge then because of that rule, and then all of those guns will then just pepper him. To be honest, it's almost a slightly ridiculous amount of guns. I mean, personally, I don't actually really like the number of guns.
It's a silly amount of guns.
Yeah, I mean, if you were designing an actual vehicle, you wouldn't put that many guns on it, and especially you wouldn't put guns pointing in all sorts of different directions. But anyway, it is what it is, and it does make for a fairly terrifying prospect to face, really.
I guess we'll talk about it more at the end of this magazine, but we do kind of see the weaknesses of the original Primaris range.
Possibly
and
the best
the only source of D6 damage ranged, I think, with all the Primaris.
Yeah, and of course we said when we got things like the land speeder that
it was nice to have an anti-tank one.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to take it in the last 2 issues.
You might as well now. I mean, you get as much use out of it as possible.
And and it is a nice centrepiece for the Space Marine collection because we have actually now completed both armies. There's only one big terrain piece left. We'll show the whole collection at the end. It's a very expensive kit to actually buy if you buy it from the store. It's £50, I think, at the moment. Getting it through the magazine, you get it for $32, or if you make your own base, because the base is really kind of irrelevant, you can get it for half the price, which is very good.
That's exactly what I did, actually. I bought the 3 issues with all the sprues in, and then I'm just going to put up my own base, because the rules don't take into account the base. You measure from the hull always. If you really want the Games Workshop base, you can buy that base for considerably less than the price of one magazine. It's like £3, I think, for one of those bases, and then mount it on. I don't know. I mean, it does have the nifty flying stand that you can
rotate, so you can be on it at a jointing angle.
But on the other hand, you can't see the stand when it's on the battlefield.
It's so massive.
You could just prop it up on anything, really.
I did magnetise mine. I magnetised all the guns, and you can take the turrets out, and you can take the base of the turret off and put the heavy onslaught cannon on if you want that. So the last talon. Yeah,
because it's much cheaper to put some little magnets in than it is to buy a whole other kit with different weapons.
To be honest, I mean, unless you really play by what you see is what you get, you can probably just say it has these guns, and your opponent would let you do that as long as you didn't change. I mean, I would be fine with that.
Yeah, well, on all the various grenade launchers and things, they all look basically the same anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the auto launch, I magnetised the auto launchers and the frag grenade launchers, basically the same.
Well, I think that's all for this episode, so if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and leave your comments and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think, your experiences with this mission or with your Space Marine armies in general.
And repulsors in general.
Repulsors in general, how they fit in, yeah. But we've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.